topic that we are going to look at is that of flow losses, and we classify losses into two terms. We call them major loss and minor loss. Now I told you in a previous discussion that any flow drops pressure in the direction of the flow. That is, if you have a higher pressure here driving a flow, because of the lower pressure that exists here, you have the flow moving from 1 to 2, and as it moves from 1 to 2, due to various devices or configurations in the flow device, which could be a simple pipe, or it could be a vacuum cleaner, or it could be a dishwasher, or it could be an air conditioning system. Depending on what the configurations inside or the resistance to flow inside, you set a particular flow rate. That is, the flow rate is proportional to the flow or the pressure gradient which is driving the flow, and also to the resistance to the flow. If you have less resistance, you will have more flow for the same pressure drop, and vice versa. Now, if you just think of a fluid system, in any flow system, there are long sections of piping or tubing, and then there are also small fittings, fasteners, elbows, valves, etc. that form a part of the system where the flow takes place. Now, the flow, as it goes through long sections of pipes, it undergoes pressure drop due to loss of pressure due to viscous shear stresses or viscous effects, and this is termed as major loss. Major loss you can simply remember as the flow losses associated with long sections of piping in which the flow can be nominally thought of fully developed. It could be laminar or turbulent pipe flow. It could be thought of laminar or turbulent pipe flow, and we call these major losses. Okay? And then the flow also goes through small fittings or a valve or an elbow, which it could be like there are two sections of pipe. This pipe is long in this direction. There is one more section of pipe which is long in this direction. In between these two, you could have a valve or a shut-off valve or a gate valve, which can be used to regulate the flow that goes from one side to another. Now, you could have the flow coming from left to right. You have a pressure drop from here to up to the valve. Okay, so this could be a major loss. This is a major loss. And on the other side, from the valve until the end of the pipe or until it meets another fitting, we have another major loss, which is the pressure loss through the straight section of the pipe. And in between here, where you include the developing length of the pipe, and also the valve through which there is a curving section, there is bending, there is friction, there is all sorts of flow complexities. The pressure loss across this is termed as a minor loss. It's called a minor loss, doesn't mean it's less. It is just that we have something systematic which we attribute as major loss. We have something erratic or in a not so easy way to predict. We call it a minor loss. Okay? Both are important. Don't go by the word major and minor. They are both important. It's just a name. They are called major and minor. So the loss of pressure due to viscous and inertial mixing or turbulence in auxiliary fittings is termed as minor loss. Okay? So we have flow losses that are split into major and minor losses. Okay? Major means that takes place along long sections of piping, and minor takes place is the pressure drop across auxiliary fittings. Okay? So with that idea or this terminology, we want to do an analysis for the pressure upstream and downstream of a system. Suppose we consider the pressure at section 1 and section 2. We write a Bernoulli type equation. If for a second, if you assume that there are no viscous effects what you have is P1 plus half rho U1 squared plus rho g C1 equals P2 plus half rho U2 squared plus rho g C2. Okay, delta PL is 0 if there are no viscous effects. If there are no viscous effects, there is no pressure loss, you recover everything, the flow recovers all the energy it has at section 1, at section 2. It may be interchanged between static pressure, dynamic pressure and hydrostatic pressure. Okay? But in reality, we do have delta PL. That is, in reality, you have pressure loss in the direction of the flow. That is the basic idea of calculating flow rates in relation to the driving force. Okay? So if whatever the pressure loss is, I don't know yet, I am just going to write it as delta PL. That is, this is 0 only if there are no viscous effects, which I'll write as delta PL. Okay, delta PL is the pressure loss between 2 points in a fluid circuit. It could be 2 points that are just along a pipe section. It could be 2 points on either side of a flow device, like something like a air conditioner or a vacuum cleaner. Okay, but whatever it is, delta PL is the pressure loss between any 2 points in a fluid circuit. Okay, with that said, I can take the above equation and divide it by rho g throughout. Okay, I'm going to write P1 minus P2 divided by rho g plus U1 squared divided by 2g minus U2 squared plus Z1 minus Z2 equals HL equals delta PL over rho g, which I'll call as HL. What I've done is converted pressure into a height by dividing by rho g. What I have is HL equals the difference between pressure, the difference between velocities, the difference between elevation. It should ideally be 0 if there is no losses, but there is loss, and this number, since pressure is decreasing in this direction, HL will be a positive number. Okay, HL will be a positive number because P1 is more than P2 in general. And what I have is HL has the dimensions of height. It's called the head loss. The word head is a synonym for the pressure driving a flow, or pressure difference driving a flow. A head loss means the driving force has lost some of its ability to drive the flow because the mechanisms that are causing the energy loss, namely viscous friction or inertial mixing or turbulence, have taken away some of the energy. So this head loss here, just like I can write delta PL is delta P major loss plus delta P minor loss, I can write the head loss is H major plus H minor. I can write it to be the major head loss plus the minor head loss, sum of the two. Now when I am practically evaluating or designing a fluid system, if I know my delta P or if I have a target flow rate, what I typically have to do is estimate this resistance to flow, which is directly related to the head loss. How much loss am I going to encounter because of the flow through this device with a pressure drop of delta P producing a flow rate of Q. That's the goal usually, and we'll see that through examples. So if I take a particular example, so if I keep this in mind, I'll take a particular example for turbulent for fully developed turbulent pipe flow, I can write delta P is a function of the average velocity, which is flow rate divided by area, pipe diameter, the pipe roughness, how smooth or how rough that pipe is, the fluid density, the fluid viscosity, okay. So I have to do a dimensional analysis to express this in non-dimensional form, and if I choose the diameter, the density and the velocity as my three repeating variables, if I choose these as my three repeating variables, because I want to cover each of length, mass and time with these three quantities, I can write delta P divided by rho v squared, okay, should be a function of epsilon over d, and the remaining quantity is viscosity. I have rho v d over mu, which is what is we refer to as the Reynolds number. So we have that for a fully developed pipe flow, this fact comes from experiment. Okay, this observation that the pressure drop seems to depend on, if you have a pipe flow, it seems to depend on the average velocity, it seems to depend on the diameter, it seems to depend on the how rough the pipe is or roughness, it seems to depend on the density and viscosity of the fluid. This comes purely from experiment. Our scaling analysis allows us to write delta P divided by rho v squared should be a function of two dimensionless variables, the non-dimensional roughness or scaled roughness epsilon over d, this is meters, so it's a dimensionless quantity, and the Reynolds number rho v d over mu. It tells us that delta P major divided by rho v squared is a function of epsilon over d and the Reynolds number. That's all the statement says. Okay, so I can write instead of in this form, I can write delta P major divided by rho g equals v squared, I'm going to take the v squared to the other side, multiplied by a function of epsilon over d and the Reynolds number, and I'm going to write this v squared over 2g. So that half v squared is the kinetic energy. So it's just a function. This 2 can be absorbed into the function. It doesn't change anything if I write v squared over 2g. So what that gets me is the major head loss, H major, which is delta P major over rho g, that is v squared over 2g multiplied by a function that depends on the roughness and the Reynolds number. We still don't know what this function is. Okay, we still don't know that, but the ultimate point is, if from experiments you can get data that connects delta P to these variables, you can express it in a form where the head loss can be calculated as a function of the flow velocity and a function that is a representation of experimental data. Okay, so this is a practical way to calculate H major when you have experimental data available, and there is a lot of experimental data available. That is, as engineers, we have at our disposal a lot of different types of measurements that tabulate the flow losses, so that when you are doing fluid design, your goal is, given these are my flow parameters, velocity, diameter, roughness, density, viscosity, what is my pressure loss? Given these, what is this? That's your goal. This is given and this is your goal. So you calculate delta P. If you are targeting a certain flow rate, you can estimate what will be your delta P. You can flip this if you know what is your pump capacity or what is your pressure drop, what is your maximum allowable pressure drop. You can estimate what should be the flow rate that can be, what is the flow rate that can be supported. Okay, I'll give you one example. This is fully developed turbulent pipe flow. Okay, let's go to the case where you have fully developed laminar flow. For a fully developed laminar flow, we did the derivation of the flow rate and velocity profile. You know that Q is pi over 128 mu times delta P over L times d squared. Times d to the 4th. We did this derivation in section 8.2. Okay. We did this derivation in section 8.2, and I'm going to write this. I'm going to write this: average velocity times pi by 4 d squared equals pi over 128 mu delta P over L d to the 4th. So if I rewrite this, I can write delta P is equal to, I have 32 times mu times L, okay, divided by d squared. 32 mu over L, mu times L divided by d squared. So if this is my delta P major, or with my major loss in the case of fully developed laminar pipe flow. For me to express this in terms of in terms of head loss, I'm going to take this delta P major divided by rho g divided by rho g. I'm going to write this. I think I have a velocity here. I'm going to write this 32 mu. I'll write L over D. So delta P major equals 32 mu LB over D squared. That's where I was. So delta P major divided by rho G equals H major, or the major head loss, that is equal to 32 times mu LB divided by D squared times rho G. So I have it in this form. Now I need to write it in a form that makes it a function of Reynolds number that is consistent with the prior analysis we did. So we can write 32 mu, I have rho, I'm going to write it rho Vd because I need Reynolds number eventually, and I multiplied by a V, so I have to divide by a V. I have one more diameter left, okay, and then I have G, and then I have L. So I'm going to write this 32 mu rho Vd. Instead of 32, let me write it 64 V squared over 2G times L by D. So I have H major or the major head loss is 64 divided by Reynolds number. I'll write V squared over 2G times L by D, okay, L by D multiplied by, or 64 divided by Reynolds number. So what I have here is, I can write V squared over 2G times a function that depends on Reynolds number and the length of the pipe written in non-dimensional form. Sometimes this function comes from a theoretical analysis. Sometimes this function comes from experimental data. Now, for fully developed laminar pipe flow, when is it strictly true? When is your flow really laminar? It is laminar when your Reynolds number is 2200 or less. So whenever your Reynolds number is 2200 or less, analysis tells us that the major head loss depends only on Reynolds number and the length. It is not dependent on the pipe's roughness. So you can have a rough pipe, you can have a smooth pipe, doesn't matter if your Reynolds number, which is based on the flow velocity, if it is less than 2200, then you have laminar flow unconditionally, and that doesn't, the pressure loss doesn't depend on the roughness, it depends only on the Reynolds number to the inverse power. Okay, it's precisely known. G is known in this case. Okay, so some cases we can obtain this from analysis or from experimental data, but in general, what you need to understand is delta P for a pipe flow, or delta P major for a pipe flow, is a function of the Reynolds number, the roughness, the length, okay, and we write delta P divided by rho V squared is V squared over 2G times the function that depends on these quantities. And this is what we call as head loss. So this function comes from analysis or experiment. So out of major and minor losses, I told you that the total loss is the sum of the major and minor. So I'll write HL, H major, H minor, HL